You're in the middle of an argument. Your heart is racing. Your mind goes blank. And the person in front of you, they're destroying you with words while you just stand there, frozen, like a deer in headlights. 3 days later, while you're in the shower, the perfect comeback hits you like a lightning bolt. But it's too late. The damage is done. You lost. And worse, they know it. But what if I told you that never has to happen again? What if I told you there are 7 psychological weapons rooted in the dark strategies of Niccolò Machiavelli himself that can end any argument before it even begins? Not with clever comebacks, not with shouting louder, but with surgical precision that leaves your opponent questioning everything they just said. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never be caught off guard again. Let's start with something most people get completely wrong. They think winning an argument means having the best facts or the loudest voice. Wrong. Machiavelli understood something darker. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. And the first weapon in your arsenal is what I call the benevolent spotlight. Here's how it works. When someone attacks you, insults you, or tries to provoke you, your natural instinct is to defend yourself or attack back. That's exactly what they want. Instead, you're going to do something that short-circuits their entire strategy. You're going to shine a light on their behavior with pure, calm curiosity. You simply say this 5-word phrase: "Why are you being cruel?" That's it. No anger, no defensiveness. Just a genuine question that forces them to look at their own behavior from the outside. Watch what happens. Their brain stutters. Because suddenly they're not arguing with you anymore. They're arguing with themselves. They have to justify their cruelty, and most people can't do that without looking like a monster. You've taken the moral high ground without even trying. You've made them the villain in their own story. And here's the beautiful part. If they double down and continue being cruel, everyone watching knows exactly who they are. You win either way. Now let's talk about energy vampires. You know the type, the person who just wants to argue for the sake of arguing. They don't care about truth or resolution. They just want to drain you. This is where the dead end comes in. Machiavelli knew that power isn't just about force, it's about conservation of energy. Why waste your time engaging with someone who has no intention of listening? So here's what you do. When someone is clearly trying to provoke you, you give them nothing. And I mean nothing. You respond with phrases like, "Okay," or "If you say so," or "That's one way to see it." And then you go completely silent. No explanation, no justification, no defense, just a brick wall. What this does is brilliant. It removes all the fuel from their fire. They're expecting resistance. They're expecting you to fight back. When you don't, they have nowhere to go. They'll push harder for a few seconds, but eventually they'll realize they're shadowboxing. And here's the psychological kill shot. When they walk away frustrated, you've won without saying a single meaningful word. You conserved your energy while they burn through theirs. That's power. But what about when you can't just walk away? What about when you're in a meeting, a family gathering, or a situation where silence isn't an option? This is where the analytical pause becomes your secret weapon. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every gap with words, with explanations, with nervous laughter. You're going to do the opposite. When someone says something provocative or tries to corner you, you're going to pause. Not a quick pause, a long, uncomfortable pause, 3 to 5 seconds. Look at them. Let the silence stretch. Let them feel it. Here's what's happening in their brain during that pause. They're panicking. They're wondering if they said something wrong. They're second-guessing themselves. And when you finally speak, your words carry 10 times the weight because you've created anticipation. You might say something as simple as, "Interesting," and then pause again. Or, "I hadn't considered that angle," followed by more silence. The analytical pause communicates something powerful. It says you're not reactive, you're not emotional, you're thinking. And people who think before they speak are dangerous. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The fool fills silence with noise. The wise man weaponizes it. Now here's where things get really interesting. The agreement trap. This one is pure verbal judo. When someone is attacking you or your position, your instinct is to disagree and fight back. But what if you agreed with them instead? Not genuinely, strategically. Let's say someone says, "You always mess things up," or "You never listen to anyone." Instead of defending yourself, you say, "You're absolutely right. I do mess things up sometimes. In fact, just last week I made 3 mistakes. Tell me, what specifically should I do differently?" Watch their face. They weren't ready for that. They wanted a fight. You gave them agreement, and now they're stuck. If they continue attacking, they look unreasonable. If they actually give you constructive feedback, you've completely reframed the conversation. You've turned an attack into a discussion. And here's the beautiful irony. By agreeing with a sliver of truth in their accusation, you've taken away all their power. Because the moment you stop defending, they have nothing left to attack. You've made them fall on their own sword. But what about the sneaky people? The ones who don't attack you directly? The passive-aggressive manipulators who hide behind smiles and backhanded compliments. This is where the intent reveal destroys them. When someone makes a subtle dig or a passive-aggressive comment, most people either ignore it or respond to the surface level. You're going to call out the subtext. Someone says, "Wow, you're so brave to wear that." You respond, "It sounds like you're trying to insult me politely. Did I misunderstand your intent?" Notice what you did there. You didn't accuse. You asked. You gave them a chance to clarify, and now they're trapped. If they admit they were being insulting, they look bad. If they deny it, they look like a liar because everyone heard the tone. Either way, you've exposed them. You've pulled back the curtain on their manipulation. Machiavelli understood that manipulators thrive in the shadows. The moment you shine a light on what they're doing, they lose all their power. The intent reveal is that light. Now we're getting into the heavy artillery, the disappointment. This one is cold. This one lingers. When someone has betrayed you, lied to you, or acted beneath the standards you expected from them, you don't yell. You don't insult. You express disappointment. You say something like, "I expected more from you," or "I thought you were better than this." Then you walk away. No argument, no explanation, just disappointment. Here's why this is so devastating. Anger they can fight, insults they can return, but disappointment? Disappointment cuts to the core of who they think they are. It says you had a higher opinion of them, and they failed to meet it, and that will haunt them. They'll replay that moment over and over. They'll wonder if you're right. They'll question themselves in ways anger never could. This is Machiavellian psychology at its finest. You're not attacking their actions, you're attacking their self-image. And that's a wound that doesn't heal quickly. Finally, we arrive at the nuclear option. This is the phrase you use when a relationship has reached its end, when there's no coming back, when you need to close the door and walk away forever. You look them in the eye and you say, "I'm done." Not "we're done," not "this is over," just "I'm done." 2 words, and then you leave. No explanation, no negotiation, no second chances. Here's the power of this phrase. It's final, it's absolute, and it places all the control in your hands. You're not asking for permission. You're not waiting for their response. You're declaring a boundary that cannot be crossed. And once you say it, you never go back. Because if you do, those 2 words lose all meaning forever. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. The nuclear option is pure fear. It's the fear that you mean what you say, that you will walk away and never look back. And that fear is what makes people realize, often too late, what they've lost. So let me ask you something. How many arguments have you lost not because you were wrong, but because you didn't know how to navigate the psychology of conflict? How many times have you walked away feeling powerless, only to think of the perfect response days later. Those days are over. You now have 7 weapons: the benevolent spotlight to expose cruelty, the dead end to starve provocateurs of attention, the analytical pause to weaponize silence, the agreement trap to disarm attackers, the intent reveal to unmask manipulators, the disappointment to wound their self-image, and the nuclear option to end things on your terms. These aren't tricks. These are psychological principles that have been used by strategists, leaders, and power players for centuries. And now, they're yours. Before you go, I want you to do something. Drop a comment right now and tell me which of these 7 techniques you're going to use first. And if this video gave you even one weapon you didn't have before, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because somewhere out there, someone you know is stuck in an argument right now, frozen, powerless, wishing they knew what to say. You can change that for them. You have the knowledge. Now use it.